So thank you to everyone who has come in person, to everyone who shows up online. Thank you for being part of this community. We will meet again in January, so those dates will be out at sometime soonish, okay? So for today, we'll start as we usually do, finding either a really comfortable sitting shape or lying on your back. I feel like I'm going to be playing with my mask the whole time. It likes to fall down. So if you hear awkward sounds, it's just me trying to lift my nose and bumping my hand into the microphone. So, so with all of that, let's intentionally slow down. Let's take a few moments to find some physical stillness. Gentle reminder that you have total agency over your practice. So if anything doesn't feel physically comfortable, you don't have to do it. You can always bow out. You can take breaks whenever you need to without any explanation. You can rest when you need to rest. You can guide your awareness and your attention anywhere you need to, okay? So settling into your space, giving yourself a moment to feel the shape of your body, and opening your awareness to your breath. Noticing and feeling body breathing. What does it feel like to take an inhale? What does it feel like to take an exhale? And with some awareness and attention on your present moment experience, maybe your mind is drifted off. Gently bringing your attention back to your body breathing. If you find it helpful, you can put a hand on your chest. You could put a hand a little lower on your lower ribs. It's taking a couple breaths, connecting the breath from your chest into your lower rib cage. You might feel the body breathe, softening, relaxing with the exhale. Hands softening into the body, body softening, releasing, grounding into the earth beneath you. So one way we can learn to listen to the body is through the breathing. So as we're lying back, this comfortable, neutral breath. If any time that we're practicing, we're moving, we tend, or you start to notice or tend to hold the breath, it's a really good time to come back and try and find this natural, neutral, light, authentic rhythm again. We'll practice 3 more breaths right here on our backs. And when you feel your next exhale, noting it's your exhale, we'll start to slowly roll over and come on up to sitting, and we'll build a tabletop. Okay. So building your tabletop will take a couple moments. You'll flip on over. You'll bring your hands down underneath your elbows, elbows underneath your shoulders. So hands, wrists, elbows, shoulders, a little more stacked. Now, with your shoulders coming over your wrists, if this is too much on your wrist, little too much weight, go ahead, feel free. Walk your hands out in front of you a little bit. Okay. And then thigh bones a little more straight up and down over your hips or under your hips. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of wrist and forearm wake up. So finding your index, your pointing fingers, and try and get them more parallel. And you'll see your other three fingers kind of spiral or go out to the side a little bit. So they won't be lined up exactly straight, but your pointer fingers, we're trying to have a little more straight, okay? Just pointing forward. And then shift the weight forward till you feel the upper back, in your own understanding, upper back connect through the arms into your hands. And then push back a little bit and take the weight off the wrists. Trying to keep your spine in its neutral shape. So not a lot of rounding. Shift the weight forward till you feel the upper back connect through the arms into the hands to the earth. And then push back one more time, finding just the right amount of weight over your wrists for you. You can tuck your chin again and then look right down in between your hands. Look at your index fingers, pointer fingers facing forward. And then be really nice and connected and strong through your hands. And then imagine you're opening cans of really tight, or I guess it would be jars of like tight pickles. You're gonna have strong fingers and then pull your thumbs together at the same time. Okay, so you're gonna pull your thumbs together and imagine you're opening, or maybe your right arm is opening and your left arm kind of twisting away isometrically. Can you feel that strength through the forearm into the wrist? And then sit back and shake it out. Okay. So if you bring your arms out in front of you without any weight bearing, your two index fingers line up. Your thumbs come out wide. So you're going to isometrically think about pulling your thumbs in. And then your other fingers have a feeling of like spiraling out, like you're opening a jar. Okay. But you're not going to really move. You're going to isometrically do that. Does that make sense? Pretty much good sense. Can you all start to feel a little more work in your forearms? I've been getting a lot of like, oh, my wrists hurt. And I realized like, well, maybe we're not doing any wake up, strength wake up for your forearms. So this will be a little more of a strength wake up for the forearm. Okay, so you're going to take all of that back down onto the floor. Index fingers facing forward, thumbs wide, strong fingers, pickle jar feel, pull your thumbs together, and then decide how much you want to slide your shoulders forward over your wrists to load your wrists. Okay, and then push into all your fingers and try and lift your thumbs up. If it's too much, slide your shoulders back a little bit and take the weight back off the wrists. And then tap your thumbs on the floor. And this will get your forearms, woo, engaged. Feel that? Woo, good, okay. Then put your thumbs down, tap your pointer fingers. Slide your shoulders forward so you still feel strength through the forearms, but also through the upper back, and then your middle finger taps. Then your index, or your ring finger, sorry, and then your pinkies. Good, and then sit back and shake it all out. Oh, make some circles, stretch out your wrists. So it'll be good wrist, forearm strength for shoveling snow. I mean, if it ever snows. All right, so you can sit up on your knees if you want. You could sit back on your feet. You could sit crisscross applesauce, all right? So we're just gonna work a little bit on the lateral rib cage line up through your arm, okay? So you can take your right arm up. When that right arm comes up, connect through the back of your shoulder blade here into your ribs, and then these lower ribs connecting to your hip bones. Okay, nice and long. So feeling how the hip bone lifts up, the shoulder blade can slide up, getting nice and long through that lateral line. And at the same time, keeping a little more length through your low back, meaning we're trying not to push forward. So you might feel a little more connection to abdominal core as the ribs knit down and in and you stretch. And then we'll switch arms. You'll take your left arm like a handshake. Take the left arm up. Lower ribs stack over the hip, nice and long. Try not to push forward. So both arms. Feeling lateral left side, lateral right side. And then exhale, let your arms come down, come back to your tabletop. So we're gonna put those two, all of that forearm, hand strength work, this lateral line work, and build your downward facing dog. So hands come out in front, build your tabletop. 2 pointer fingers forward, push into the floor, isometrically. Open your cans of pickles, pull your thumbs together, engage, feel your strength in your upper back and pause. It's so much going on. If you want more challenge, curl your toes and just float your knees off the floor for a moment. Keep your thumbs pulling in. Feel your pickle jar. Feeling through the hands and the wrists, and then maybe try and keep all that and go up and back to your downward facing dog. When you get up, bend your knees and push your hips, your hip creases, to be more specific, back to get a little more length. Then can you feel and notice your side body? So you have all that strength through the hands and the wrists and the forearms. And then go from your armpit through your ribs to your hips and see how long you can feel through the side body and take a couple breaths. And then with an exhale, when you're ready, walk your feet and hands together. Then figure out how to come all the way on up to standing. You can take your arms up and let your arms come down and take a few breaths. So we'll find a comfortable stance and hang out. Intentionally, again, letting your physical body rest, find stillness. And then when your physical body is intentionally still, noticing and feeling 3 breaths. When you feel your next exhale, we'll swing your arms forward out like a handshake, and we'll take the arms back up. A little bit like how we started. Arms come up nice and high and come back through this lateral line. So you're going to anchor through your heels, equal weight out into the balls of the feet. Hips can lift, ribs can lift, shoulder blades lift nice and long. Try not to push the chest too far forward as you get super long through your side body, bend your knees, keeping all that length as you pull your hip creases back and reach, 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 and fold forward. Hands maybe touch the floor. That's not a requirement. Maybe you put your hands on your thigh bones and look down. And then inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, fold and rebuild your downward facing dog. So if you want to come all the way down to table to find the strong hand, wrist, forearm connection, you could start on your hands and knees. You could also find that in downward facing dog. Index fingers, nice and strong, pushing down. All 5 fingers anchoring. Pull your thumbs isometrically together. So you're pulling your thumbs without really moving them. And then 3 breaths in down dog to really push your hip creases back. When you exhale and push your hip crease back a little more, can you feel that extra length from your armpit to your hip? And then we'll walk your hands and feet together. We'll root to rise, press down, come all the way on up, long, long side body. And exhale, hands to the side. Intentionally finding physical grounding, stillness for 3 breaths. Just letting your body have an opportunity to breathe for you. And with your next exhale, when you feel your exhale, we'll take a wide stride. So you can, if you're in the room, you can face me or you can look out over that beautiful lake. We'll bring our hands to our hips. Take our heels in, our toes out. We'll go up and down 5 times in your sumo. So waking up, ankles, knees. If you want a little more challenge, you could lift your heels just a piece of paper. Fabulous. And then come all the way on up, settle, and take 3 more breaths. So exhale leads to your inhale. All right, now look down, because as I looked around, there was some of us here in the room where our knees were dropping inside of our big toes. This is pretty extreme. All right, but it happens in degrees, okay? So you might have to adjust the rotation of your leg in the socket. So your leg rolls around in your hip. You might push out a little more, like abduction, going out. So when you go up and down, ideally, you don't want any discomfort. You want to really meet your knees where they are. And then to get a little more strength through the hip, a little more just different awareness for some of us, especially if we're always letting the knees buckle in, we want to push out and feel the knee going out over the middle toe a little more. Almost like the thigh bone could push out towards your pinky toe. Okay, and see how that feels for you as you do maybe 3 more. So you can look down and your whole sumo, you're going to see your big toe. Great. Now, if any of that is uncomfortable, of course you will adjust, okay? We don't want to feel jamming in the low back or in the hip. All right, then we're going to come on up. Left leg's going to roll in. So you're going to have internal left leg rotation in the hip, and your right leg's going to roll out. And we're going to pause here for just a moment to try and feel a little more equal weight front to back. And then we're going to bend and straighten that right knee 3 times. So as you're bending and straightening your right front leg, can you keep awareness in your back left leg? Really nice and heavy. Then next time your right knee is bent, pause, lift your right heel just a piece of paper. And then 3 more bends and straightens, trying to keep your right heel lifted just a piece of paper. Your right knee is going to bend, and we're going to pause. You can put your heel down and then bring your right hand to the outside of your right thigh bone. And push into your leg a little bit and let your right thigh bone push into your hand. See if you can feel a little more in that right hip complex. So kind of the right back butt cheek out into the right upper thigh bone, turning on a little bit. Then that left thigh bone pushes back, and you're going to take your left arm and just swing it up to the ceiling if that's comfortable. And we're going to go for lateral left side length. So can you feel the left heel up to your left hip, to your rib, all the way up through your fingers? Might feel a little bit like that left side downward facing dog. Take 2 breaths. And then exhale, straighten your right leg and switch it around. Right leg rolls in and left leg rolls out. Go about heel to heel. Find about equal weight. Awareness in the back body, right side, as you bend and straighten the left knee 3 times. So we all move at a different pace based on your breathing. Then after 3, lift your left heel just a tiny little bit for 3. As you bend your left knee, the weight still about the same. So that you can bend your left knee and pause. You could put your heel down. Bring your left hand out on that left hip, thigh bone area, and push. When you push your hand into your thigh bone, you might feel a little more through your upper back. You might even feel a little more, deep in the hip. Do you have the weight about the same on both legs as you take your right arm straight up to the ceiling? Anchor into that back right heel and stretch up. You could lift your right hip, lift your ribs, lift your shoulder blade, 2 breaths. Little deeper challenge, you bend your left knee just a little more. Exhale, come all the way on up. Good, steer both legs so your toes face forward with your knees. Take your hands into your hips, shift the weight a little more in the balls of the feet, and then shift the weight into your heels. And moving here more for understanding, what do you feel in your deep low belly when you shift the weight in your heels? What do you feel in your deep low belly when you shift the weight into the balls of the feet? So where do you feel the most work or strength in your low belly? And put your feet in that place. So for me, I'm different than you. That's when the weight's a little more in the ball of the feet. I can really feel it in my navel down towards my pelvic floor. I have to work a lot harder there to balance. So where's that place for you? I'm really different than you. You're going to find that place, and then we're going to hip hinge. You're going to tip over, long, long spine, fold over. Watch your back, feel it. You don't need to jam it, and then you're going to come back up 2 more times. If you want a little more challenge, abduction, push your thigh bones out. Feeling a little more of that upper lateral thigh bone into hip area. After 3, we come all the way back up and stand and take 3 breaths. So no need to hurry. I cheated and only did 2. It's not really cheating. Sweet. And then you stand with wide legs, see how that feels. Notice your experience. And give yourself that gentle reminder that I needed to hear. Obviously, there's no cheating, right? If you're listening to yourself and you're doing what you need, it's not cheating, it's self-care. Left leg rolls in, right leg rolls back out. Go about heel to heel. Equal weight in the legs. So equal-ish, it won't be exact. Bend your right knee. Now notice when you bent your right knee, as I look around the room, it looks like a lot of people shifted a lot of weight into the front. So can you feel nice and really strong and anchored in that left heel? Sweet, take your left arm way up to the ceiling. Feel your left back heel. You can't really see it. So you got to feel that left pinky toe to heel and ground, push it down, and then lift through that back left hip, lift through the back ribs, through the left shoulder blade. Awesome. If you want more challenge, reach, 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 and then bend your knee just a little more. Sweet, when you're ready from the hip, exhale, tip right hand or right elbow to the right knee, side angle. Press your thigh bone into your thigh, or your forearm, sorry, into your thigh bone, and down creates up, really lift. That left arm, you got it. Exhale, come all the way on up. Sweet, right leg rolls in. Left leg rolls out. Equal-ish weight, feel that back right heel. So it's a little practice in feeling what you can't see. Feeling that back right heel anchor, equal weight through both legs, bending your left knee. Good, left leg, thigh bone pushing out a little bit to get a little more into that left outer hip, right arm lifts. Feeling that back right heel anchor as you lift the back left hip, back ribs, shoulders. Remember how we started trying to knit the ribs, finding that long lateral downward facing dog line? That's it. Awesome. If you want a little more, bend your left knee a little more and start to tip over elbow to knee. Press that elbow forearm down to stretch up. 3 breaths. And with your exhale, come all the way on up. Steer your legs so you're facing a little more forward. Pause to take a couple of breaths. And just notice and feel whatever you're noticing and feeling. So let this be 5 breaths for your own experience. And then taking your arms a little bit out in front of you, wide. Great, let's take your right arm just behind your head a little bit. And then your left arm can bend and come behind you. And then we're gonna go out and switch. Again, as you're moving your arms, what's the relationship of the arm movement to your spine? Can you work on keeping those ribs down and back? The chest, yeah, really nice and open. And then nice and long through your lower belly and your lower back. We'll go open and back behind you 2 more times. And then we'll take both arms out and we'll bring them back behind you. Now, you might touch your fingers. You might touch your fists. If you are, congratulations. If you're not, no big deal. All of us have our hands here, or maybe they need to come out. Meet your shoulders where they are and try not to push your chest forward. So coming back to that fundamental piece of ribs, drop down and back. Legs are wide. Now you fold over. So now from the hips, can you keep your arms there? Maybe bringing the weight a little more out into the balls of the feet to challenge the core, and then come back up and try 2 more. Okay. If it becomes too big of a shoulder stretch, bring your hands to your hips. Then we'll come all the way on up. Hands come from the back ribs down by your sides. 3 breaths. Come back into your body, breathing. What's your experience? Left leg rolls back in. And right leg rolls back out. Go about heel to heel. Equal weight in the legs. Feeling your left back heel. Anchor that left back heel as you bend your right knee. And pause. Okay, remember how we started when we took the arms out in front of us? We knit the ribs and we took the arms up towards the ceiling and tried to get really nice and connected, strong and long through your lateral line. Explore what that feels like here. So nice and heavy through the feet. Might let your right thigh bone feel even heavier. And then lifting up through those lateral lines, right side, left side. Sweet. Then with an exhale, keep all that length and start to side bend, bringing your elbow to your knee or your thigh bone. Good. Then your left fingertips are going to rotate down, right? So you can look up, your palm's going to face either behind you or the floor. And see if you can feel your left heel connect to your left hip, to your ribs, to your shoulders, all the way out your fingertips. You got it. 2 breaths. And then pull yourself up really strong and long. And right leg rolls in, left leg rolls out. Pause. Find equal-ish weight. Make sure you're about heel to heel. Keeping that right leg really strong and anchored as you bend your left knee. Both arms come out. Both arms come up. Ribs in line with shoulders, reach on up. You might let your left thigh bone feel a little heavier to just work a little more in that left hip. So from your back right heel, lift your right back hip up and start to tip over. How long can you feel through that top right side as you tip? Right back heel to hip, to ribs, to shoulders, to hand. Right palm facing down or back. Excellent. 3 breaths. Notice your experience. And with your exhale, come all the way on up. Step your feet together. And notice your experience. Gentle reminder, as we notice our experiences, it's also a really nice practice to add mindful self-compassion. So trying to look at our experience through that lens of curiosity and kindness. Settling into your body, and you feel grounded, finding your places of strength and support. What does it feel like to take 3 breaths? When you're ready with an exhale, swinging your arms out to come up. So pausing with your arms up overhead, we're going to take your arm a little bit in front of your ears. Anchor through your heels into the balls of your feet. You might bend your knees a little bit if that's feeling tight in your hip. And then lifting up through the side body. So hips to ribs, shoulder blades, through the arms, out the fingers. So you're going to try and take this feeling of length from the hip to the armpit, all the way into your hinge as you fold forward. You're going to pull that hip crease back. Can you feel the hip crease, even like your butt cheek pull back? You can feel a little length through that lateral line as you fold all the way over. And then you might have to do a little bit of a yoga crawl. You're going to find downward facing dog or tabletop. So you might have to walk your hands to the front, the feet to the back, and then giving yourself a moment to feel your shape. What's happening coming all the way back? Super strong hands. Remember your index fingers pushing down, the feeling of your jars, feeling of isometrically pulling your thumbs. So really strong through the hands, wrists, forearms. Bend your knees and pull your hip creases way back. 3 breaths. Let your inhale create some length. Let your exhale help settle. Sweet. When you're ready, come either to tabletop or straight arm plank, your choice. You can challenge yourself in both of these shapes. So if you're in tabletop or plank, look down, find your index fingers, get strong hands. If the pickle jar feel helps you connect to your wrists and your forearms, do that. Pull your thumbs together. If you're in plank, take your legs out a little wider. Okay, so what we're going to do here, you can do this in table or in plank. You're going to lift your right hand and tap your left armpit and bring it back down. Lift your left hand, tap your right armpit, bring it down. Assess. Maybe you do one more set. Maybe you rest. Okay, so left hand just comes across and taps your armpit in tabletop or plank. Go until you are tired. So looking through the lens of curiosity and kindness, taking care of yourself. Maybe one more round. And then we all push back and meet in child's pose and rest for 5 breaths. So challenge yourself and then give yourself time to rest and breathe. Through the lens of kindness and curiosity, the relationship of your body breathing. 3 more breaths. And we're going to come all the way out on our bellies. So we'll lengthen straight out. Gentle reminder, I have this microphone, so I don't get my head down as low as you all get to. So you can take your head really close to the floor. I like to imagine my favorite scratch and sniff sticker there. And then hands can come down by your rib cage as long as your wrists aren't, bugging you. If your wrists are bugging you, go ahead and stack your forearms underneath your forehead. And give yourself a few moments to notice your chest down through the front ribs. And feeling your breath, not only in the top of your chest there, but also down in the lower rib cage. And then feeling the relationship of the breath in the front body to the side body to your back body. And then we're going to want to feel some length. So crown of the head lengthening, toes lengthening, pulling back. And then again, isometrically. So we do this more from the inside. Right? Isometric, we can't always see the movement. So imagine you're going to pull yourself forward. You turn on the muscles, but you don't actually pull yourself forward. So you can feel the connection of the muscles. Imagine, if you have your forearms down, you're pushing down, pulling yourself forward. If your hands are by your side, you're pushing down, you're imagining pulling yourself forward. And now imagine pushing yourself back. And then pull yourself forward and pull yourself back. One more time, pull yourself forward I suppose it's more like a push yourself back, right? And then let all that rest and take 3 breaths. And we're just going to add on. So grounding, pushing your hands down or your forearms down. Now isometrically pull yourself forward and peel your chest up. Push your hands down, push yourself back and lower down. So you pull yourself up to baby cobra and you ground and push yourself back to prone mountain. If you want more challenge, lifting your legs as you pull yourself forward and up to baby cobra, lowering your legs as you push back to prone mountain. 3 more. After those 3 more, come all the way down. Hands can rest underneath your forehead and come all the way back full circle, letting your body connect to the ground. Reestablishing your anchor, your connection to gravity, to the earth. And through that lens of mindful self-compassion, treating yourself like you would treat your very best friend, coming in, noticing and feeling your experience. And then we're going to bring your hands down by your side and just challenge yourself. So some of you might want more challenge. So hands are actually going to come by your side like you're going to do a push-up. Some of you might actually push up. You might want to do a few push-ups, right? You might come up and do a few knee push-ups or good old-fashioned straight leg push-ups if you're feeling into that. You might push up to table. But then in about 3 or 4 breaths, we're all going to come to crisscross applesauce. So then when you find you're comfortable crisscross applesauce, you might bring your knees out in front if your hips are feeling kind of tight. I'm just going to reconnect sit bone butt into the floor, thigh bones. Find and feel what anchors you. And then cross your hands up on your collarbones. And just ride the wave of your breathing for a few moments. Almost as if you could get lost in the wave of your breath. And then really up to you, if you'd like to add a little twist, just twisting to the right, holding that gentle twist for 3 waves of breath. And then twisting to the left for 3 waves of breath. And coming back. Then you can let your arms stay here, or if it's a little easier, let your arms drop. Reconnecting. Body breathing. Let's take 5 breaths. And we always take the very last part of this practice for self-care. So as you're breathing, check in with yourself. How do you feel? You can check in energetically, physically. And then we'll take the last couple minutes here in silence. So if you want to lie all the way back and take Shavasana, you can lie all the way back down. If you're feeling you need a little extra stretch time, feel free. Take your time to do some stretching. If you'd like to focus on the breathing, knowing you can always come to your seated meditation shape, using your breath as meditation, as an anchor. We'll take the last few moments here in silence. Noticing your present moment experience. Bringing your present moment experience into relationship with your breathing. Breathing with your experience. And we'll add the body. When you're ready, slowly starting to wiggle some fingers and toes. Kind of let the body lead you. So much of our day, our minds lead our practices, lead our day. So can you just kind of just kick back, relax, let your body start to move for you. Maybe you do a full body stretch. Maybe you draw your knees into your chest. And then we'll slowly roll all the way on over and come on up to sitting. Let's feel 45 minutes goes so quickly. Thank you all so much. Big high fives for showing up. Thanks for being part of our community. Thank you online if you're still there.